Hi there, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my art room. I just wanted to come on and do a bit of embroidery with you with my field notes page for summer flowers. So I started it in the previous video with the cow parsley or Queen Anne's lace, not sure which. Queen Anne's lace is more poisonous, I think, than cow parsley, so I think they're the similar family, just a different variety. So I did a split back stitch in some pearl cotton that I had dyed a long time ago. It's dyed with Procyon dyes, which are chemical-based dyes, and it's quite a lengthy process to dye. It's not something, I used to do it a long time ago. I don't tend to use them so much now. So I did that basic structure of the flower like that. And now I'm just going back with a single strand of embroidery thread. This one, number 3013, is what I've written. I presume that's correct. And so I've done the extra little bits in here. You can still just see the black pen, the iron off pen. I'll get rid of that, but just right now I'm not. So I've added those little bits. I've added some extra bits of the leaf, and well, I'm not going to actually do like a leaf as such. I am doing these little bits that tend to grow along the stalks here, and a little bit of background grassy sort of stuff in here is where I'm going. And I've started doing the thistle flower heads with and I've used this is a Valdani thread, a Valdani number 12, and then the colour is 039. It's got a bit of variegation in it, just not a huge amount. So yeah, so I thought come and do a little bit of stitching with you just so you can see what I'm doing. The other thing that I did is I went out into the garden and picked some of that lavender. I don't know if you're even going to be able to see how crazy it is. It's not like your normal. It's very scruffy, but still pretty, and it's really long. I don't even know if that's going to justify how long that is. So it was tall and waves a lot in the wind. It smells delicious. So yeah, that's its funny little green leaves, which I'm kind of having a bit of a play with. Cool. All right. Just thought I'd bring it in and show you. It's funny how this one's got like 3 heads on it. Not as fat and sumptuous as the ones if you watched Corinne To Be Loved, Treasures by Corinne, when she showed us her ones from her garden. Quite as sumptuous. The only bit of florally bit on this is there. So that's how I'm going to do mine, because that's where I got my inspiration from. Oh, sorry, just moving my chair in so I can see what I'm doing. Just going to move you a wee bit. Yeah, had you a bit out of whack there, because if I move the board too much, then I'm going to be out of shot for you. All right, so where I'm going with this is I've done all these little bits on these two, and so I'm just finishing it off here, and thought that's why I would come back on. Yeah, I hope you're all good. We are. I've done the obligatory housework this morning. Paul's been to the men's shed. we've had lunch and it's now in the afternoon that I thought, right, it's time to do some stitching before I get anything organised for tea. Tomorrow I've got to be out and about, so today is my, well, now is my stitching hour. I've got some leftovers that I'm going to do a pork and vegetable stir fry for tea, so that's good. That's sorted. Yeah. And so it's now. I've been catching up on a few videos just while I was doing this little bit of stitching, and then I thought I better do one of my own so that I can keep some interest up. Thank you all for joining me, and I hope you are enjoying it as much as I like doing them. Somebody in my last video, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. Oh, that's terrible, I really can't. Asked me about these scissors, and they don't have a brand on them. They simply say stainless there. They don't have any other marking on them, and they were given to me as a gift. So, but they're so sharp, they're so good. I love them. I don't know where they came from. My apologies for that. Carol? No, not Carol, maybe. Can't remember who that was. I'd have to stop what I'm doing here to find out. And maybe when I finish doing this little bit of video, I will check. So my apologies for, I thought I would remember, and I just haven't remembered. Good. We've had quite a wind day today without so much wind. Yesterday was still very windy. I know I've carried on about this wind business, but it's just so unusual for us. Like, unusual for what we've had. But it's cold today. So, yeah, the wind's dropped and it's colder. So that's quite strange. So I think you can see I'm really just doing straight stitches. I'm not doing anything special at all as far as these grasses are concerned. And I really need to go in with the iron or even my hairdryer. So I don't know what happens with these fabrics that you print yourself. They're probably okay with an iron. I guess they are. I think they're even a bit washable. Not that I'm going to wash it ever. I think if it gets caught in the rain, it just will. And that'll be that. I've got some plans on how I want to tackle my next page, which is the butterflies and bugs. So I've got that in my head, but just want to get this done first. So I'm going to pause here with you, and when I come back I will have completed all of these bits here so that we can move on to the next bit. I'm just going to finish off that bit of thread there. Oh, that's annoying. I left that bit of green thread there and I've tangled it. Oh, well, that's very annoying. Good place to stop. I'll be back. Good. All right. So I'm on to doing this this darker green side for the thistles. what I did here was I did some weaving, so I'm going to do that with you as well. Just need to finish off this little bit of thread. I did a stem stitch for the stem, and I did a split back stitch for the leaves. So, and a little bit of just a lazy daisy thing for the end of the head here. So this one's going to have a lot of different stitches in it. I know, I'm working from the bottom up. Just happened that I came down this one and then I came up this one. Not intentionally, but it just happened. So I'm sorry if this looks a bit weird, but I'm going backwards, but I am. And I'm trying to sort of make these look a bit sort of spiky, like thistles would normally look. We don't, well, here I haven't seen any of those sort of big Scotch thistle type heads, but we do have sort of a miniature version, and they grow in amongst the cow parsley and dandelions, so they grow like this, which is where I got my original inspiration from. That's what they do. Yeah, they all grow together in the field. So I'm okay having them all growing alongside each other here too. Good, one more stitch and then I can tie it off, and then I'll do the weaving stitch with you. It was a bit fiddly because it's just teeny tiny, but that's all right. It doesn't have to look absolutely perfect, but they do have kind of a woven looking flower head. Looks woven in real life, and I didn't want to go back again, so it's not. Good. Excuse me, before I go on, I'm getting there. I just thought I would share with you what I did with the background, because I realised when I looked at the video back that I didn't share how I got to where I got to, because it did take me quite some time. I just got to find where I... And so, can you see? Yeah, good. Hopefully it's not too glary, is it? I think it's all right. So this is what I do when I really am in a dilemma as to how I want to plan my background out. I, put things down, take a photo, take it off, take a photo, take it off, take a photo. So this one here, I don't know if you can see that bit there going across where those two bits of fabric, see there? I was like, well, that just doesn't look very nice. And then I wasn't sure about this long bit which I'd cut off there. So then I thought, all right, so I'll try and I'll move things around a bit and then cut that one a bit shorter. No, I still didn't know. And then I, like the laces at the bottom, the laces at the top. Then I thought, oh, maybe if I write on it, that will look a bit better. And change the lace, then put a little bit of this stuff here. So yeah, so before I get to printing it, it takes me ages, and sometimes I take it all off and start all over again. Now you'll see that what I ended up with was that this was the last photo I took. So I took that piece of that, beigey coloured stuff out of there. Decided that I didn't need that. Don't know where it is. It's gone. But, and put that darker piece under where it's on the top. I put it under here. So, yeah, I just wanted to show you that it does take a bit of time. And that's why I think taking the photo just seems to help identify the bit that I don't like, because sometimes I can look at it and I go, well, it looks all right, but I'm not fast. I don't know why I don't like it. There's just something about that just doesn't, just affects, doesn't sit pleasingly with my eye. Doesn't. Sorry. I'm repeating myself 100 times. Blue nails today. My nails desperately needed cutting. They are my own nails, and they're thick and they grow at a rate of knots. And I do have the sort of nail polish that you can leave on for a week and it still looks okay. So today it was like, I'll have a bit of blue today. I'm up for that. All right, so weaving. I'm going to start with the downward stroke from the middle, which just helps to keep me a bit straighter. And I'm not doing the threads too close together because it's so tiny. I just never see them. I've got my magnifying glasses on as it is. But see, there's probably a good needle's width gap. I mean, you don't want to make it wide, but neither do I want to make it so small that I can't see the blessed thing. And then for the flower top, I'm going to do some turkey work. So stick around if you don't know about turkey work. Turkey stitch. I think it's turkey stitch. I very first heard about it. Never heard of it before. I guess I probably have seen it on something. I didn't necessarily know it had a name or what that name would be. When Rachel and Sarah did their very first Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, Volume 1, the lead up, they did some pages of embroidery stitches teaching us how to do them. One of them was turkey work, and I've loved it ever since. I think I've used it quite often, but I'd actually never heard of it up until then. And then I had to, go further and Google it more and find out a little bit more about it for myself. So hopefully I do that justice when I show you. But I've got some variegated purple thread, which is a DMC one, but it's got probably 3 different colours of purple. 8066, 9908, don't know. It's actually not a DMC. I have no idea what it is. I don't even know where I got it. It's got perhaps some Chinese characters there. Oh, wait on. There is another thing here. Here we go. Cosmo. Really hard Japanese symbols they were. Really hard for you to see because it's written in this gold here. But it's definitely a Cosmo thread and it's called Seasons. And it's an 8mm thread, but yeah, it's a stranded cotton. That's what I'm going to use for the turkey work. I'll stop talking and get on with it. I don't know if you've done a lot of embroidery, and I often find when I want to know something, I just try and Google it or find a YouTube video on how to do it. I don't profess to be a embroidery teacher at all. I am really far more self-taught than I am anything else. Books and videos and watching what other people do. So what I've done is I've now brought my thread back up to the top here. Going to turn it upside down, sorry. Just find it a bit easier to do it that way. With the back of my needle where the eye is, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Using the back of the needle just stops you splitting the thread, and you know, with the point of the needle. And then I go back down. Where I came out, I actually go into my fabric, which locks it in. So then bring it up next to it, like I said, in this tiny shape, fiddly tiny work. If it goes a bit wrong, it doesn't really matter. That's what I figure. All right, so I went over the last one, so under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Bring it down to there. Some of the turkey work will disguise it. It won't be so you won't see the work as, it won't stand out a lot. As you come down the shape, you'll end up, some of those threads you won't catch anymore. I have no idea if you can see what I can see, but I am endeavouring to go over and under in the right order. There's a little bit of sunlight coming in through this back window, so I'm hoping that that will help to lighten it up. So under this, oops, didn't go in the fabric. So see that one there, can you see it? Or can you see? I wonder. There. See, the thread went under that one. So I'm going to go over that one and under the one next to it. Over, under, over. Am I showing you off screen or on screen? There. Wouldn't it be awful if I'm not? Oh yes, I am, because wouldn't it have been awful? Not do all that bother. All right, we're nearly done. I think one more row will see us done and dusted. So yeah, a little tiny job, but sometimes those little things just are the things that add to it. Give it a finishing touch. And we'll see how we go from there. All right, be done here. So I'll finish this one and I will put you on pause and head back in a minute when I'll do one, and then, because I'd actually like to finish this page in this video, so stopping and starting I think is the way to go. I don't think there's enough work for me to do a third video when really I'm only actually doing the embroidery. And apart from the flower heads and a few grasses, I don't think it's enough to do a third video. So I've made that executive decision. All right, so I'm just doing these little lazy daisy type things for the bottom of it. As I said previously, I'm not looking for botanical, for it to be botanically correct. I'm looking for a stylized version because I want it to look hand done. Yeah, just really my choice on that, not anybody else's. There's no rules, so I've made my own rule. But that's what I want it to look like. And got a little bit more of this, the stem and this spindly leaf. So you'll see me in a second. Okay. Good. So I've done one of the flowers that is yet to be finished, and just before I do that, I'm going to get started on this one for you. Kitty, thank you for your lovely comments, and it was you who was asking me about the scissors, and I'm sorry I haven't been able to find out yet. If I can, when I get a chance to talk to the person that gave it to me, I'll definitely see if I can find out a bit more. So I'm using 6 strands of thread together, starting from the right side. I just kind of start from wherever. There's no rhyme nor reason. I've started in the middle. And give yourself a bit of, it's a waste. It's not wasted thread, but you do use thread and then cut it off. But I think it's better to have something that you can hang on to, especially when you're working on a small project, and then come up with a little bit of a gap, holding your thread again. What I do is go in between those two, and after a while the stitching itself holds it together, and then come out back through up the other side of one of those threads. So you're doing sort of like a continuous loop. Let me draw it on a bit of paper for you. In case it's harder to see. So you're going to have a loop like that. So this is the outside, this is the inside of your fabric. And then you're going to have another one like that. And so you just continue to do that. And after a while, the threads lock themselves. And you can come back and do a bit over here. It doesn't really matter. And you'll see me do that. So that's the basic stitch for this. And I just figure it's probably not the easiest thing to see, and it's purple. So that probably makes it even harder. So I've come out here. I'm going to go back in here on the inside of it. And so all the time holding on to these loops, come back on the outside of that stitch. So I hope that makes some sense. So on the wrong side, all you can see are these tiny little loops that after a while lock the stitches. So I'm going to head up now, head back the way I came, the way I've been, and leaving myself a bit of a space, a bit of a gap. Again, threading through there. When I get to the end of the thread, I just do just a little extra stitch so that it locks it, and finish with the thread on the outside. But I think it looks really effective when you're looking at all sorts of things. Sometimes it could be used for the stamens in the middle of a flower, or it could be used for, I don't know, feathers on a bird or something. Like all sorts of things that you could use this for. What it makes is great gum flowers. We have gum trees here, and I did think about, after I said, oh, you know, I wasn't going to do any Australian wildflowers, I thought about the gum flowers and thought, oh, that was a bit silly, because the trees are prolific here. Sadly, they're the ones that lose their branches when there's horrible winds about, but never mind. They grow really big and tall, and they have, and in our area in particular, where we live, it's absolutely known for its gum flowers. Should have thought of them. A bit late now, I've done weeds. So did you see that I did a stitch that I continued to, you know, instead of leaving a loop, I locked it, because this is just about, I'm about done here, and leave it on the outside. Anyway, I didn't do gum. Never mind. All right, so now it's a matter of going back and cutting the loops. And this is where you get your own bit of creativity happening as to how you want it to look. And it's little, you know, this little thistle is little, and so I don't want it to look ridiculously too big. So I'm going to cut a fair bit off it because I just don't think it needs to be too long. So it's just really, you know, having a go with the scissors, really. And until you get it to look like the way you want it to look. That's pretty close, but I'm just going to get it just a little bit closer, I think. Now, I'm not taking that much off, but it's probably enough to just make it look like a thistle. Cool. All right. There's not a huge amount of colour variation, but there is a bit. There's sort of more purpley here and a bit redder on that other side. So yeah, so I'm going to keep working on this one, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay. I've been working on the embroidery, and I just wanted to come back and share with you a little bit. One of the things that happened just before I turned the camera on was that I'd stabbed myself with the needle, obviously, and managed to get a couple of blood spots on here that I didn't notice for a little while. This is the fabric that I printed myself, and I'm, you know, just for the people who might like to know about it, the marks are very faint. I can't get them out any more than that, but I've also got this sort of wet tide mark here, so there might have to be some running repairs, even just like a piece of lace or something, which I did think that I might have put on there originally, and then I didn't. So I'll go back and have a look through my bits and pieces that I had out originally. You know, even something like that might just hide it. I might pin that there as a reminder that it may need some running repairs, but that's what happens sometimes, and I didn't notice that I was doing it. All right, where am I? What have I been doing? It's Wednesday here now, so this has been going over a few days because am doing more embroidery and I've only been doing a little bit at night. So I started to do the lavender and found I didn't intend to use silk ribbon, but found that nothing else actually, just normal embroidery thread didn't really look very nice. So this is actually 2 strands, 2 different colours, which gave me that lavender kind of seed head look. So they're those 2 threads. I presume these numbers are correct. They've been sitting in my box of threads for a very long time, but I'm assuming they're correct if you were wondering what I used. And I've done these little dandelion flowers, some grasses, and I've started adding these little daisies from that lace trim. So I just thought, of course the cow parsley is I'm using, start all over again. I'm hoping I've got you here. I've used colonial knots with this hand-dyed thread, and it's really been too long since I did it, so I couldn't tell you how I did it, I'm sorry, but they've just got a bit of variation. I thought this was going to be pale enough for the sort of tops, but it wasn't. I'm having to now, and it's there, you can't see it. So I'm just going back now and adding some white. I've done some around here. So I just thought I'd come back and do a little bit of stitching because I'd like to get this video finished shortly so that I can get it posted and get started on my next thing. But I've had a couple of busy days, so I didn't get any stitching done yesterday. I had planned to, and then the day just did a disappearing act. What did I do on Monday? I can't even remember. I think I was doing this on Monday. Oh, I think I was doing a bit of housework. And yes, I did those things because I'd been away and thought I'd better catch up on a bit of housework, a bit of cooking. I like to make my own bread, and my family particularly like a banana and date bread that I make, which is yummy for breakfast. My sister's staying with my mum at the moment, and she put in a request, so they were very happy to get that yesterday. And while I thought I was just going to have a short time out, it ended up being the whole day, so I wasn't home till tea time. Oh, the other thing that I've been doing, which has really almost done my head in, I have to tell you, just getting everything connected since we lost the power and the internet for so long. Gosh, everything's just had a meltdown. And we thought the TV, and we get, the other stations, the TV stations, other than the free-to-air ones, we get the internet ones through Fetch. And it has a set-top box. Not sure what you guys might use, but we're using Fetch at the minute, and not through a provider. So we purchased our own. That might have been easier if it was done through a telephone provider, but anyway, it just would not work, to the point that I feel like I've spent more hours fiddling around with that than I have anything else. And I think that I'm fairly intuitive with getting electronic things working. Oh, not this. And I'd have to keep walking away from it because it was, honestly, I was demented. Anyway, I finally decided on Saturday, when we had all of the internet back and all of the power back, and I'd done everything possible to make it work. No, I couldn't make it work. Must be the aerial. Must be the aerial on the roof. Must have got damaged in the storm, because we could get internet TV. We just couldn't get the free-to-air TV. And so that made sense to me. No. So after we paid today for the aerial man to come out and do a service call to tell us there's nothing wrong with the internet. Oh, no, nothing wrong with the aerial. It must be the fetch top box that's the problem. Oh, gosh, don't you think I could find some white thread? And I just used the last of it. All right. It's just got to be here. I'm sure it's just got to be here. Anyway, that was a long story going nowhere because the aerial man said it wasn't the aerial. And so he's... Yep, and that's the phone. Sorry about that. So, yeah, so I then turned everything off at the PowerPoint again, put it all... I think you're a bit close to me. Hang on, I'll just move you up a weeny bit. I think that's probably a bit better. Just felt like I was going to be touching the screen at any minute. Anyway, turned everything off, turned it all back on again. Yes, it did sort of like get itself sorted that it wanted to be doing updates, and I've done this 5 times since Saturday. I don't even know. Anyway, no, still couldn't get the free-to-air channels. So you can't ring fetch. You can only email, like through live chat type question and answer sort of stuff. How can I help you? We'll email you and we'll get back to you. Oh, God. So I think that was probably about an hour. But they did email and said, okay, here's what you need to do, all of which I've done before. And it worked. Now, I don't know what the aerial man did. He tells me he did nothing, but strangely, things seem to be working a whole lot better. But I know he didn't do anything. I don't know whether it was just got itself sorted. Oh, who would know? But gosh, that was... I have to tell you, I hate that sort of stuff. All right, I am doing colonial knots, and I'm sorry I forgot to go through that. For anyone who's new to my channel, because I have gone through it once before, but that's all right. I'm very glad to have all my newbies. And if you don't know how to do a colonial knot, number 1, I'm using 3 strands of just the stranded DMC thread. I like the colonial knot because I actually can make it messy. If I go for a French knot, I tend to be a bit tight with it. I'm not using anything special in a needle. It's actually a decent needle because I've been changing threads and cottons, and I wanted an eye that I could keep on threading. It's pointy sharp, hence the bleeding carry on. So with the thread coming through the fabric, I use my left hand because I'm right-handed. Left hand to put some tension on the thread. Then with the needle pointing up towards the top, go from the left to the right under the thread, come back and go again, but upside down, left to right and back up, and then through your fabric, maintaining that little bit of tension. Depending on how messy I want it, I can sometimes just let it go and it will just give me a little scribbly knot, and I get that little loopy bit there. Love them. Can't always get them. I just must hold it too tight or something. I don't know what I do. But I would love more of those loopy bits, but I never can. I'd like them even bigger, loopier than that, but I don't know. Whatever happens, I forget what I'm doing and I just go into automation mode. But a colonial knot is a bit like a figure 8, if that makes sense. You do the top loop first, the bottom loop, and then take it back down through the thread. You can look it up. I'm sure there are people either on the internet or, you know, through Mr. Google or through YouTube, they will give you quite detailed instructions on how to do it. There's lots of books on it. It's called a colonial knot. If you want it bigger, you could do a double loop there, and I sometimes do that depending on the size of the thing that I want. It will make a bigger knot. That's it. I think that I'm done. I think I'm happy with the amount of white. I wasn't sure that I wanted the white, and then when I added these white daisies down the bottom here, I felt that could handle the white. So yeah, that cow parsley, Queen Anne's lace, some people call it hemlock. It's a bit scary. Done. That bit there is done, so that's good. I'll do a little bit on the other couple of things. I'm not going to finish them on this video, or you'll be watching it all night. But I'll do the lavender head here on this side so that you can see how I did it. So like I said, one strand of the brown and one of the green. I'm just doing a double check that that's, yep. Just was making sure that's the one. Sort of like a grey green. There we go. Oh, did I show you that before? Yep. 522 and 3031. Just is what I had. No special requirements went with it. It's the two colours that I had. Did I do with that? Is that it? No, that's not it. Here. It disappeared into the grey mat. Sorry. And so I just did these little tiny lazy daisies. I started at the bottom and worked my way up, and thought that kind of looked like a lavender head. Certainly my lavender heads. Can't show you them anymore. I've stuck them in a book. I'm pressing them just because they were here sitting on the table. They smelt lovely, and I thought I really need to do that. Why does that not want to be the same length? Did I use this one? I know that I cut them. I might have used them already. I thought that I cut them the same length. Nope, it's not that one either. All right, well, just use what you've got, woman, and make the most of it. I'm not going to cut any more. More fingers and thumbs here. Paul will probably walk in a minute with lunch, and so I'm going to have to stop and start again because he's going to walk in the door. Okie doke, I'll be back. Lunch is done. We're back to trying to get this video finished. Just feels like it's been going on and on and on forever. All right, I finished doing the white things. I started to do these little French knots. No, goodness, start again. The little lazy daisies, the detached sort of. So what I'm doing is coming from the middle of that shape that I roughly drew out for the lavender. Well, what's happened with this, yeah, that's what I definitely dried with a Tide mark, so I'm going to cover that. It's harder to get your needle in and out. It's quite tightly woven fabric, so probably harder for you to see where I'm going with this, but I am just going in an upward sort of shape. To make the lavender. In the middle of the aerial guy telling me there was nothing wrong with the aerial, the postman arrived and ooh, that was a parcel for me. Yay, I love getting parcels. I'll show you in a minute. I ordered some of Rachel's fabrics. Wonder if my volume's up. What a bother. All right, I'm going to have a quick check of that. Oh, I hope you could hear that little bit. Whenever I stop and start, I sometimes watch back what I've done so that I'm comfortable with it. It's my kind of editing process because I don't know how to cut and paste and do those things. I'm not that clever yet. But I forget to turn the volume up, and I can't do it while I'm recording because it makes it go fast forward or something. It does some weird thing. So I've got to stop, start. I'll be making you dizzy. If I didn't make you dizzy with the thistle weaving, that was a bit crazy. Of course, there's not going to be enough thread, is there? No. Silly of me to think there would be. But I was counting up the minutes and thought, yes, I can still keep going here for a little bit longer. I was quite happy with the colour, with the look of these two threads together. That'll do. I'm going to go anywhere. Excuse me. One more bit. Anyway, I found a bit of lace to go across that tide mark on the fabric. Oh, that's what I was telling you. I've got a parcel from Rachel. Well, I purchased fabric off Rachel's website. And yeah, so that was exciting. I hadn't done it. I hadn't thought I wouldn't for this journal, and I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm not going to use it for the journal because I may do. Still got a whole lot of prompts to go yet. But I'll show you it in a minute. So yeah, I'm just trying to come from the middle so that I get that sort of, what I noticed on the flowers is they grow in lines. The seedy sort of, or the head of the lavender, whatever it is. I don't know if it's a seed or it probably is a seed given it grows all over my garden. So yeah, I would say that it probably is a seed. The only thing I didn't do on these was I didn't make them quite as long. The ones from the garden are quite long. Got quite a long head on them. Gone back to winter, the season today. It's there's no wind, but it's cold. And yeah, I feel like I've got my big woolly wind sheeter on today. One of those things that yesterday I had a short sleeve shirt on all day because it was so warm and beautiful. And now I'm back to wearing a woolly wind sheeter. Oh well, never mind. But it was the fabric, how tight the weave is on this compared to I ordered the beautiful linens from Rachel, and it's quite open weave. But this is quite difficult to stitch through. That's that fabric that you put in the printer. It says 100% cotton. It says it's washable. I wouldn't probably want to risk that. Mind you, I was dabbing at it for a bit to try and get the mark off with a baby wipe. So it possibly had a fairly strong chemical in it. All right, I think that'll do for the head of the lavender. I think that's probably big enough because I didn't want them to be too big. Just there's that one there. So with that same needle, I just happened to find this silk ribbon, luckily, because I didn't have that much, and it was it's probably a bit too wide, but I'm persevering with it because it's all I've got. So that's that. And like I said, when I did it with the thread, it just kind of disappeared, and those lavender flowers stick out quite a bit. And my one doesn't have the flowers growing out of the top. It's got it growing out of the side of those heads. And I just did what I thought would look all right. Not until you've got it done can you really make a final decision. So I'm just doing a ribbon stitch, so coming out flat and going back in on itself, what I understand to be a ribbon stitch. Yeah, this fabric is quite, and not pulling it too tight, which gives me that sort of bell-shaped head on the petal, which the lavender has. This ribbon is starting to get a bit sad because it's been pulled through a few times. Well, I used it for there too, so I don't want it to be too fluffy. Like I said, it's just a fairly small head of lavender, but wherever they came out, they seem to come out in the same place on the seed head. Oh, am I trying to go through a knot? Yes. You can always feel it. The needle just won't go through where there's already a knot of ribbon. It probably would have looked good to have had a paler colour, but like I said, I'm trying to really just use what I've got. Sorry, hope I'm not hiding that too much. Oh, it's very stiff. Alright, I'll finish this one and I'll finish the other one later because I just want to get on to the dandelion flower. And then what I'll do is I'll put, the thumbnail for the video will have the finished page. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that bit of lace. Just a bit stiff. I think that's what my flowers look like, so I'm happy with that. Tie a little knot off here. Because it's, this is going to be sewn, backed onto another one. None of these ribbons will come undone. But just in case, I'll put a knot in it. All right, so I found this narrow lace. Spin you around, try to do it slowly. Just a piece of braid really that I don't think looks too out of place. And then another piece up here, I'll trim that one. Just to sort of make it look like it was supposed to be there. I think the embroidery, given I had some there, I think the embroidery was too much here, so I didn't want to use that. But you'll see that in the, what I might do is pin it. You'll see that in the final photo when it's done. I don't never know whether they come at the beginning or the end of the video. Maybe I'll put it at the beginning so you've got to see where I'm going. All right, before I get onto those, I'll show you Rachel's fabrics. They are gorgeous, and the linen is beautiful. I just love the colours in this one. This one's just gorgeous. These flowers, little snail. Her and her husband are very, very clever people, the way they can do this and combine the beautiful images with backgrounds. And Rachel did say that the linen frays quite readily, so I just need to be careful of that. Gorgeous, gorgeous, with birdies, butterflies, flowers, little bee on there. I'm not going to keep turning it around, I'll make you dizzy. Oh, that's a gorgeous one. I didn't even notice him before. I love the combination of these designs with the flowers. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with what I've got. This was 2 sets. One was a set of 6 pieces and one was a set of 3. I can't remember which was which now. You know, which came with what. But you'd find it on her website. That one's beautiful with all the text on it. I love that one. Not quite enough to do a quilt like she's doing and that Corinne's doing. So I'm still thinking about that bit. I haven't quite got there yet. All right. Let's get on with these flowers. This one, like I said, was just that piece of lace braidy stuff. And I thought I'd just cut out a centre. Just means that I'm not having to stitch so intently. And the flowers, you know, they've got that mesh, so the stitches would go through it. So I just thought if I cut a little bit of fabric in that sort of golden yellow colour. Yep, Paul's going to bang the dishes in the kitchen. Just never gets it. When I say to him I'm going to video, and then he just bangs and crashes and makes noises. So there we go. Yes, I'm talking about you. Too late putting your finger up to tell me to shush. You need to shush. I forgot to show you. My grandkids brought me the other day one of those illuminated signs that says on air. I need to remember to turn it on. They thought it was funny, and so did I, but I should have put it on for Paul to remind him that I was videoing, telling me to shush. All right, I'm going to do the same. Just a few of the colonial knots, so that just really to hold it down so it stays there and doesn't spin around like that. Yeah, I thought they looked like those white dandelion flowers that grow with yellow ones, and it was just going to add a different sort of texture really, rather than just all embroidered. I wanted to have a little bit of variation. So yeah, that's what I'm doing there. All right, so I think you've got the gist of that. I'll leave that thread hanging in the background there. And the last one is this little dandelion. And I'm just using 2 strands. So I've got a paler yellow and then a darker yellow. So this is 745 and 725 in the DMC range. 2 strands. And I just started with some colonial knots. Lots of those in this page, on this page. I'm using a thinner needle. Just think for some little tiny weeny stitches and thinner thread, I can get a more precise, I can be more precise, is what I'm trying to say. So I did this little circle here just to give me a bit of a guide as to where I wanted it to be and the direction I wanted it to go in. And I really haven't done very many knots, just a few, just to start off at the base, give me a bit of a base there. Oh, good, a knot right at the start. I should have split the threads individually. I'm going to have a bumpy, a loopy knot. I'll just put that over there. I don't keep pulling at it. Oh, sorry, swishing the fabrics and things around there in front of you. It's getting a little bit awkward to hold just because it's the bottom of it. Where's that thread? I don't want to tangle it again. There. All right, I think I've got a better hold of it now. Have I? Yep. That was a very loopy one, that one, when I said I couldn't do it. Just got to let it go and get a knot in it and get it tangled up, and then it does all sorts of things. So I just do a few knots to just give myself the look that I'm trying to get, because the flower is kind of facing that way. So this pale will be here, and then the dark will be sort of on this side here. Oop, I lost it again. All right, I think that'll do for knots, and now I'm going to do quite small lazy daisies radiating out from there, sort of in that half circle. That's why I've used this very thin fine needle, because I can do this fine stitching. Too hard to do with a big bulky needle, and don't need it. Put one on the end here. And I've talked about being a scooper with my embroidery. I tend to do that scooping motion rather than in and out. Just the habit, I think. You get into a habit of doing something a particular way, and it's sometimes quite hard to break. I mean, if I can't scoop it, I don't. And I actually can't here. It's just a bit too firm. Lots of knots and things. So I just do that the one arch around, halfway round from one side to the other of the pale yellow. And then I'll do the brighter yellow on top of it, so that it just blends it really. Oh, I can't get that needle to, probably just a knot there, I think. Quiet. All of a sudden. That's when I need some music in the background. Good. All right, that will do for that colour. I'll do the brighter one. And then that'll do. I think I will love and leave you after that. I think you've... this video has probably gone on long enough with all of this embroidery. But I thought it was just a change from trying to do them in too many. I thought if I just do a little bit of each flower, and hopefully that's been of an interest to you. And I can post it shortly. But if I give you a quick look at this, you can see how I've done the green sort of stem. I've used this wonderful pearl cotton that's got a stronger variation than that darker green one that I used on the thistle. Quite like the pearl cottons for the stems. Just gives you a decent amount of bulk. I mean, if you don't have the colour, you don't have the colour, but I happened to have it, so I thought I would use it. And really, I just start anywhere. And radiate out and up. Sometimes, it takes more than one row to just get the colour variation that you're looking for. And this one will take a couple of rows. This one did too. So I've sort of had the pale in here and then one row of dark and then another row of dark coming around there. Helps to give me the shape. Of the dandelion. I'm not going to worry about big leaves. I'm just thought that I would keep it sort of those weedy type stems and bits. I'll get rid of the black lines. I'm sure that will make a difference, and the threads will stand out more. Finish off my lavender, and I'll be able to call this page done. Now that's good. Been thinking about what I want to do for my next one, so it'll be nice to actually get involved in that. But before I do that, I do have a project of my own that I want to get done. So my next video will be about making a rope basket by hand. If you'd like to come and join me for that, I'd love to have you to chat to. That would be great. I just want it for a little scrappy thread basket more than anything else. So, and I have the bits and pieces, so decided that was going to be my project for this week. It might take, I don't know how long it'll take to do, because there's a couple of processes in it, so we'll see. All right, I'm going to love and leave you. I think you've got a really good idea as to what I'm going to do. I'll stitch on these bits here. I'll finish this lavender little flowers here, finish this dandelion a little bit here, and I think I'll be able to call it done. Okay, thanks for sticking with me. It's been lovely knowing you were there, listening and watching and liking what I do, so thank you for all of that. Thank you to my new subscribers. There's been a few over the last few days, so That's been nice to see you join me. I hope you have a great week. Enjoy your stitching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.